9 a.m. on Monday, May 18th. It's about 46 degrees out. We had about 2+ inches of rain last night, so it's been kind of a cool, wet stretch. And here's the outside weather. I'm going to go ahead and show you the greenhouse conditions. We're running a little cool in here. That was intentional with some of our hot weather. We actually had quite warm weather on Saturday, but the temperature, as is typical on a cloudy day, maintains the low temperature. So if you look over here, you'll see 62. It is asking to heat at 62 and cool at 75. I mention this because we're getting to see a couple of things that relate to cool, damp conditions. So if I knew I was having a big stretch of cool weather like this, I'd actually warm up my minimum temperature, mostly because of the dampness. And we'll see that in a sec. Okay, so here's the greenhouse at the final stages. Some things look great. I did do a bunch of pruning to remove spent flowers. There is the possibility that we're still running thrips in the dahlias because of the high pollen that has. And then I do see some speckles on the ivy geranium. I'm not sure if that's just a water spot that got kind of blasted by the sun, but sometimes you'll see that silvery white spots due to thrips. Okay, just a quick look through things. Here are some petunias that actually were done as cuttings when we cut back everything else. These other ones represent the pretty strongly cut back petunias that have grown back. When we look deep in there, they're kind of scraggly in the middle, though they look okay on the outside. And they did just get watered, which is why they look so floppy. Some of our coleus look in good condition. Our begonias, Santa Cruz Sunset, I think is a lovely hanging basket plant. This additional white variety, again, is looking good. Our sages look nice. The rosemary coming along nicely. I did transplant up some of the lovage, and I don't know if you guys ever remember hearing the story of lovage, but lovage is an herb. Tastes really a lot like celery, and you can use it in soups and other things like where you would use celery. And the other interesting thing is this is the one that has that empty hollow stem, so you can actually use it in a straw, as a straw. And you're like, why would you want a celery straw? Well, it's pretty typically used in Bloody Marys. We have some of that golden millet. We have a lot of the big blue annual salvia, quite a bit of the dichondra silver falls. And again, this is really nice to use for a hanging basket. You get that sort of white draping appearance. Some of our baskets still coming along nicely. Okay, those are more the porch pot form. Here's another basket using that white creamy colored begonia and the tricolor sweet potato vine. Okay. Petunias quite overgrown. We're just kind of letting them go and seeing whether they can get used for campus. Again, on a Monday, we often will have the edge effect where they wilt on the edges. This did get a nice watering today, and after a watering, I'll generally turn on the fertilizer and give it a little shot because they are really at the stage where they need a lot of nutrition. Okay, just a quick look again at some of the baskets that you guys planted. Hopefully you can find yours. We talked a little bit about wiring up a pot or a basket, and this particular one is one of the tan ones that we would generally consider more of a porch pot, but I just wanted to show you that we can wire that up with the 4-wire type hanger. Okay, some more of our mixed pots and some of our monopots. Okay, get a feel for what's going on there. Okay. We do have some of the impatiens, and I did do some of the accent next to the Imara, which is the downy mildew resistant variety. don't worry that they look scrappy. Again, blasting them with water often makes them look sad. I have been running some wilt come Monday, so 3 days of no water on these cardoon. Have them looking pretty sad, but they always perk back up. Our geraniums that we seed started are doing just great, and you can tell nearly all of them have flowering stems now. So if you look, you can see the flowers, and the orange in particular that you see in the distance did really fine, and they're really on the right schedule. I did cut back these. These are our dahlias. Really tremendous flower output, and the flower output potentially brings on thrips and also takes a lot of energy as well as water. So pretty much every 2 days these have been a little dry, and that can lead to some of the damage that you'll see, just over drying and a little stress happening on a regular basis. I did cut back these. These are our ivy geranium. Definitely getting a little past where we'd love them to go out, because we do have to do so much more maintenance when we have that happen. Here's our orange maverick geranium. Those were definitely the first to bloom. I really like that color. I just think it's an interesting geranium. And we also are getting our first bloom on the maverick violet. Okay, and we're starting to get pretty close to bloom on the apple blossom, which is really a soft pink, and then it kind of opens up white, so a pinky white overall for the apple blossom maverick. Our maverick red has really pretty foliage with that zonal darkening, and then again, they're just coming into bloom as well. In terms of some of the natives that did get transplanted up, this is Aurelia racemosa, a really cool shade-tolerant native shrub that gets about 6 feet tall. It's a crazy looking thing. We also had some nice transplanting and good growth on our prairie liatris. Okay. And our hops really growing like crazy, and wish we had more places to trellis them up. And beyond that, you'll see some of our older plants that really need a cutting back just to keep them alive. So those are mostly just kept. I don't even know why we've kept them, but it does show how enduring annuals are if you keep them under the right conditions. I did want to show something in particular though related to the weather conditions and these overgrown pansies. We are getting a pretty significant flare-up of botrytis. So I'm going to try to show you that a little bit on a close-up. So botrytis is gray mold, and you can see here the gray powdery appearance. That's pretty typical. You've got it on older tissue, kind of all over the place. And these were really in one of the coolest places in the greenhouse. If you remember, we don't have the underbench heat on in this area. We have that right near the windows, and I did take the covering off the windows. So this area has been really cool, and with the high moisture that we've been having, especially Sunday, yesterday with our 2 inches of rain, that's really brought a flare-up of the gray mold botrytis. We did also have some powdery mildew showing up on here. I'll see if I can get a little bit of a look at that. So if we look at some of the leaves over here, that little surface whiteness, okay, that is powdery mildew, not botrytis or gray mold. So powdery mildew is always a surface phenomenon, like some of the same conditions of high humidity and cooler temperatures, but again, a different pathogen than you'd see with the botrytis or gray mold. Okay, so overall, this is some of what happens when you carry things along for a long time. They get some extra disease pressure, especially when you're trying to juggle temperatures like we are. We're trying to keep things cool on this side, mostly so we don't have to water so much, but we also have things overgrown. So brings on disease pressure, and a lot of greenhouses that are trying to maintain things until they open up again are really facing some of these challenges of increased pressure of things like powdery mildew or gray mold botrytis. Okay, we'll stop you at that. And this is probably one of our last looks at our full greenhouse. Everything actually did pretty well, and you guys started everything out well, and it is going to find a happy home being used mostly at the MATC campuses.